Hello. Just finished putting on the new ESC and motor, and I figured I'd give you guys my tips on how to get this figured out. So, first off, like I did earlier, remove everything, and make sure you're keeping your orientation the entire time and documenting the way that the ESC and motor is set up before you take it apart. The way that my ESC is, I was taking it off for the A motor, and so the A motor wire configuration, there's 3 wires that come with the motor. For the A motor is yellow, black, and then red, whereas in the B motors it is yellow, red, and black, and the orientation is with the dominant black chip on top, and so that's how I maintain my orientation. So you'll definitely want to make sure that you're keeping that in check. I even made a little diagram for whenever I began, and that came in helpful later on when I was starting to question myself. And take photos too. It never hurts to take photos. So you're documenting the process. Anyways, so we began with the motors. I didn't screw it in yet. I just kind of set the motor on top and ran the wires underneath and then through this hole. There's not a lot of working room, so you're going to have to be kind of nimble. This is more like a 2-person job rather than a 1-person job, because one person will be holding this while the other person's soldering it on. It's kind of tricky. Anyways, so what we did with the ports that go into the ESC from the motor wires is we inserted them from the top. And so here's the hole, and we inserted it from the top, and then we added a little bit of solder onto the back side, so we made a complete connection, and the soldering that we did was solid and intact. And we did that for all 3. Next thing, mine came with a sleeve, and so we stuck on the sleeve. And we had originally only we'd kept the original black wire and red wire from the original ESC and clipped it closer to the edge of here, or closer to the original ESC, so we had a long black cable and a long red cable, and then we had the new ESC, which was both long red and long black, and then we spliced them because we didn't want to get too close to the motherboard. And when we did that, the motor was kind of tweaking out, and sometimes it would spin all the way and it kind of ran for a little bit, but it wasn't reliable. And if it's not reliable, don't go out and fly it. You want to make sure you have a complete connection, so that way, in case something terrible happens, your drone starts falling in the air, well, you won't have that problem. So, to work around that, we didn't really want to mess with the original soldering to the motherboard. So we took the original black wire and the red wire, disconnected it, and we cut it about this far away. Yeah, this far away. And got rid of the excess. And so now you have a black stub and a red stub. And we kind of shaved off the case around the wire and exposed it. And then we did the same thing for the new red cable and the new black cable, and laid them on top of each other and resoldered it on. And that connection was really nice, very strong. There's not going to be any bending between the 2 wires. It's just pretty much, it's nearly a direct connection. And then we put some electrician's tape around it to seal it, to make sure we didn't have any connections between the positive and the negative charges. And it kind of took us a while to figure out that, you know, these cables are too long and they're having a lot of resistance. After we tried splicing the original and the new red and black. And so I would highly suggest leaving a little bit of the original red and black wires still there, but only a tiny bit, enough for you to solder on the new red and black wires on top of them, so that way your connection is clean and there's not a lot of excess wire to cause very much resistance, because I think that was our issue, was a lot of resistance. And then tuck away your wires, make sure everything's nice and tight, very clean connection, and give it a test run. Put on your battery and check it out. I don't like putting it all together and then trying to run it and finding out I just did all this work for nothing. But we did it anyways, and it wasn't that big of a deal. And that is pretty much it. As far as recalibrating it, yeah, you can recalibrate it, but you know, you gotta turn it on first to see if it's running, and then you can recalibrate it later. But once you've got it all connected, plug in the battery, you're pretty much set to go. Whenever I did it, it wasn't wonky or anything. It did kind of have some drift, but I was outside, so that could have been because of the wind. But really, it wasn't bad. The only difficult part was problem solving, and like I said, it's a two-person job. And you'll need a soldering iron and some of this. That's really all you need. It's a two-person job. One person to hold the cable and the other person to solder it on. So see if you find a friend or a relative to help you out in getting your new parts added on. Do not try and do it on your own. It would be too frustrating. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Here's my diagram one more time. Make sure you get your orientation right for your motor wires. And that is it. Thank you for watching.